There's a hidden compass inside you. If you don't learn to trust it, you'll spend your life following someone else's map. And by the time you realize, it might be too late to reclaim your own story. Don't look away, because what you're about to hear could change the direction of your life. Most people drift through life, always doing what's expected of them. They chase grades, jobs, relationships, approval, rarely pausing to ask, is this really what I want? There's another voice, though. It's not loud, but it's honest. It's the gentle pull in your chest, the uneasy feeling when you're about to make the wrong choice, the sudden clarity when the world goes quiet. That's your intuition. Carl Jung called this your true self. He believed your intuition isn't just a feeling, but a secret guide, something ancient and wise, buried beneath all the noise. But here's the tragedy. Most people ignore their intuition so long that it starts to fade away. That's when life begins to feel like a story written by someone else. Maybe you know the feeling. You say yes when you mean no. You let other people decide what's possible. You silence your doubts, and doubts become your habit. Eventually, you forget how to hear your own voice. Jung warned, if you betray your intuition long enough, you end up as a stranger in your own story, a ghost in someone else's dream. Why do we ignore intuition? It's not because we're foolish, it's because we're taught that fitting in is safer than standing out. From the moment we're children, we learn to follow rules, meet expectations, and make others proud. Every time you say yes when you mean no, every time you hide your truth to keep the peace, your intuition gets quieter. It's a slow drift. And one day you wake up and realize you don't recognize yourself. Philosophy says the unexamined life isn't worth living. Jung went further. The unlived life is the greatest tragedy. The more you ignore your inner voice, the more your life feels empty, even when it looks successful on the outside. If this hits home, pause for a moment. Tell me below, when was the last time you followed your intuition instead of the crowd? What happened? Sharing your story might inspire someone else to listen to their own inner guide. If you're new here and these questions speak to you, consider subscribing. There's a whole community here trying to live with more honesty, more courage, and more self-trust. Your voice matters. A lot of people think intuition is just a wild guess or a gut feeling. Jung saw it as something deeper. Intuition is the quiet wisdom shaped by your entire life. Every experience, every memory, every lesson, even the ones you don't remember. It isn't loud, but it's true. It often shows up as a sense of rightness or wrongness, a whisper when everyone else is shouting, a small, steady flame in a storm. Here's the paradox. The more you ignore it, the quieter it gets. But the more you trust it, even in small ways, the stronger it becomes. Every time you ignore intuition, Jung believed, you miss a call from your real self. You end up making choices that impress others, but leave you feeling hollow. You chase things that look good, but don't feel right. You find yourself at crossroads, unable to decide, because you've forgotten what your own voice sounds like. Over time, the gap grows. You start living for someone else's dreams. You forget what matters to you. You wake up restless, unfulfilled, always searching for something more. That's when you realize, if you ignore your intuition, You let others write your story. It doesn't happen all at once. It's a series of small decisions, each one a little compromise, a little silence, a little betrayal of your gut. Eventually, outside voices get louder. Their fears become your limits. Their dreams become your goals. Maybe it's your parents saying, "This is success." A partner who decides what love should look like. A boss who tells you what matters. A culture that decides what's normal. Each time you follow someone else's script, your intuition fades a little more. Sometimes the wake-up comes as a shock, a job loss, a breakup, a crisis. Other times it's a slow ache, a sense of restlessness, a hunger for meaning, a quiet question. If this isn't my life, whose is it? You might look for answers in books, in relationships, in distractions, but the real answer is inside. The only way back is to listen, to pause, to trust your own inner compass, even if everyone else tells you you're wrong. Your intuition is patient. No matter how long you've ignored it, it waits for a moment of honesty. A decision to listen, even if the voice is faint, even if you're scared. If you want to reclaim your story, you have to start with your own truth. It's not easy. It's not always comfortable. But it's the only way to make your life truly yours. If you're ready to write your own story, share one moment below when you trusted your intuition and what it taught you. Or, if you're struggling, let us know. You might be surprised how many here feel the same. Stick with me. In the next part, I'll show you how Jung helped people reconnect with their intuition and how you can start listening, even if you've lost touch. The breakthrough starts when you finally listen in. You've spent years following instructions, parents, teachers, bosses, trends. You know what it's like to check every box on someone else's list, yet still feel a hollow ache at the end of the day. Maybe you even learned to doubt yourself, believing that others must know better. But what if the real answer is buried in you, beneath the noise, waiting for you to listen? Carl Jung understood how easy it is to become lost in life's labyrinth. He wrote, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." Why? Because truly listening to your intuition means letting go of the masks, the expectations, and the safe roles you've played for others. It's choosing uncertainty over comfort and authenticity over approval. But it's also the only way to live a life that's truly your own. The first step, making space for silence. Intuition doesn't compete for attention. It lives in quiet moments. But most people never slow down enough to hear it. We fill every gap with screens, schedules, and other people's opinions. If you want to reconnect with your inner compass, you have to make space for silence. It doesn't need to be a meditation retreat. It can be a walk alone, a few minutes in bed before you sleep, or a quiet pause after you close your laptop. In that silence, pay attention. Notice the subtle feelings, anxiety in your chest, a flutter in your gut, the urge to turn away. Sometimes your intuition isn't a clear yes or no, but a gentle resistance, a sense of wrongness, or even a quiet hope. Jung taught his patients to respect these signals, to welcome them as clues from the unconscious. He believed your inner life is always trying to help you grow, even when it brings discomfort. If listening to your intuition is so powerful, why do so few people do it? Because it's risky. It means you might have to change. You might have to admit you're unhappy, that your relationship isn't working, or that the job you've worked so hard for isn't what you want. You might have to face conflict. You might disappoint people. You might realize you've been living by someone else's rules. But the alternative is to stay stuck, sleepwalking through life, letting others shape your story. Jung believed this is why so many people end up anxious, depressed, or lost. Not because something is wrong with them, but because they've abandoned their own truth. He saw symptoms as messages: a racing heart, a tired mind, a restless spirit, each one a signal that you've strayed too far from your real self. Intuition often gets drowned out by fear, doubt, and noise. How can you tell the difference between true inner wisdom and ordinary worry? Jung's answer: practice observation without judgment. When faced with a decision, pause. Ask yourself, does this choice feel offensive or shrinking? Is there a quiet sense of rightness or just a need to please? Am I moving toward something meaningful or running from discomfort? You can even try journaling. Write the question at the top of a page, then let your hand write whatever comes, no matter how strange or simple. Sometimes intuition shows up as a memory, a flash of inspiration, or a strange image in your mind. Trust these hints. The unconscious speaks in symbols and feelings, not spreadsheets. You don't have to change your life overnight. In fact, Jung believed the smallest acts of honesty can shift your entire direction. Maybe you say no to one invitation that doesn't feel right. Maybe you wear what feels good, not what others expect. Maybe you tell the truth about how you really feel, just once, and see what happens. Every small act of listening strengthens the connection to your intuition. You become less afraid of being different, more comfortable in your own skin. Gradually, you start to trust that you can make your own decisions, even if others disagree. You learn to face the discomfort of not fitting in, because the reward is so much greater: living a life that belongs to you. There will be times when your intuition pulls you in a direction that doesn't make sense to anyone else. Jung called this the call to individuation, the journey of becoming who you truly are, not just who you were told to be. This is the hardest part. Your friends might not understand. Your family might worry. You might even lose some relationships. But what you gain is your own voice, your own authority, your own path, and in time you'll find others on the same journey, people who respect you for your truth, not just your obedience. At the root of ignoring intuition is the desire for approval. It's hardwired in us, to belong, to be liked, to avoid rejection. But the cost of approval is often authenticity. Every time you silence your intuition for someone else's comfort, you pay a price. Jung wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." That privilege can't be handed to you by anyone else. You have to choose it over and over in small and big ways. The more you honor your intuition, the more life opens up. You discover you have an inner guide that wants the best for you, not just in survival, but in joy, meaning, and self-respect. You become less anxious, less restless, less dependent on what others think. You stop chasing empty goals and start creating a story that fits who you really are. And the world changes too. Because when one person has the courage to trust themselves, they make it safer for others to do the same. Ready for the real test? You've come this far, past the noise, the doubts, the outside expectations. But the true turning point is just ahead. In the next part, you'll discover the hardest and most rewarding step of all: how to act on your intuition when everything and everyone tells you not to. This is the step that divides those who quietly wish from those who truly change. Don't miss it. The final breakthrough is closer than you think. So you've started to hear your own voice again. You've felt those small nudges, maybe a gentle sense that you should walk away from something or a quiet pull towards something new. But here's where most people get stuck. They recognize their intuition, but freeze at the edge of action. It's one thing to know you're on the wrong path. It's another to step off it. Jung saw this moment as a threshold, the crossing point between living your own story and surrendering it to others. Most never cross it. They return to safety, to habit, to the comfort of following. But for the few who do, that's where the story changes. The courage to choose yourself. Acting on your intuition can feel like jumping into the unknown. There are no guarantees. No one else can walk it for you. You'll question yourself, especially at first. But every story worth living begins with risk. Carl Jung believed that at this stage, doubt is a companion, not an enemy. He saw doubt as the shadow side of intuition. Doubt asks, "What if you're wrong?" Intuition whispers, "But what if you're finally right?" Here's a truth most won't admit. You will disappoint someone. You might upset the balance of your relationships, your job, your world. Yet every act of self-trust grows your confidence for the next choice. Bit by bit, you build a life that feels honest, messy maybe, but unmistakably yours. It's easy to trust your gut about small things, what to eat, who to text, when to rest. But the big decisions, the ones that shape your future, are the real tests. Maybe you feel the urge to leave a relationship that's safe, but loveless. Maybe your gut says to turn down a promotion that everyone else envies. Maybe you sense it's time to move, change careers, set a boundary, or finally pursue what you've always wanted. The mind will argue, list pros and cons, warn you about what you'll lose. Your intuition doesn't speak in logic. It speaks in feeling, in quiet insistence, in the sense that you're not really living until you listen. Jung taught that the unconscious is a creative force. It will keep sending the same message in different forms: restlessness, illness, accidents, dreams, until you finally act. Learning from the outcome. Here's what most people fear. What if I listen to my intuition and make a mistake? Jung would say, there are no mistakes on the path to yourself. Each time you act from your deepest truth, you learn something vital. Maybe you find out what doesn't work, but you also discover who you are. Life is not about getting every choice right. It's about moving closer to authenticity, moment by moment, decision by decision. And the beautiful irony: when you start trusting yourself, your intuition gets sharper. The voice inside grows stronger. You stop second-guessing and start flowing with your own rhythm. Dealing with resistance from others. Not everyone will applaud your changes. Some will try to pull you back out of love, fear, jealousy, or habit. Remember, other people are invested in the version of you they're comfortable with. When you grow, You challenge their stories too. Jung believed the greatest service you can offer the world is your own individuation, becoming fully, fearlessly yourself. As you trust your intuition, you become a mirror for others. Some will be threatened, but others will be inspired. You might lose certain relationships, but the ones that remain, or the new ones that form, will be built on truth, not pretense. The quiet rewards. No fireworks, no applause, just a growing sense of peace. You start to feel at home in your own skin. You wake up with curiosity, not dread. You forgive yourself for the past and trust yourself with the future. The outside world may still be loud, demanding, and full of noise. But inside you have an anchor, a quiet, steady sense of direction. Jung wrote, "Your vision will become clear only when you look into your own heart. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes." Every time you honor your intuition, you awaken a little more. This journey is not about perfection or certainty. It's about learning to live in alignment with what is most real in you. It's about letting go of borrowed dreams and false beliefs so you can finally write a story that's true. If you've followed this far, you've already done what most never attempt. You've faced the discomfort of self-examination. You've questioned the scripts handed to you. You've dared to imagine a life where you are the author. Now the question is simple, but powerful. What story will you write from here? The final invitation. Maybe you're still afraid. Maybe you're not sure what your intuition is telling you yet. That's okay. The point is not to get it all right at once, but to practice every day, listening, trusting, and acting, even in small ways. Some days you'll slip back into old patterns. Other days you'll surprise yourself with your own courage. That's the path of individuation, the life's work Carl Jung called the privilege of a lifetime. No one can promise you it will be easy, but if you choose to listen, you will never have to wonder whose story you're living. Stay true to yourself. The next chapter is yours alone to write.